Hello, welcome to the latest from Iguacu, your trusted source for effective overseas giving. Thank you for joining us today. My name's Catherine Davies, the CEO and founder of Iguacu, and we'll shortly be joined by our researchers from the research desk who'll share with you the latest insights from around the world in the crises they cover. Plus, we always share some good news. And the good news this week, well, you may have heard about Afghanistan, and there has been some signs after the early, quite open offer for a peaceful process with the Taliban by the Afghan government. There has been some signs that some elements of the Taliban are interested in joining the conversation. And the American Defense Secretary was in Afghanistan yesterday reporting on this. And we understand that there are some talks potentially being prepared on the ground rules and the areas and topics that would be covered by any such talks. So any movement forward after the 16-year war is certainly to be welcomed and certainly good news. We all know that processes like this can go forward and then can go back again. But often in the future, the precedent set by earlier developments can be built upon and are always important. So it's definitely some good news on Afghanistan. And something else to share with you from this week, Kirsty Aventurine, our lead researcher on Haiti, wrote a wonderful blog. You'll find it on our website, weareiguacu.org. And it's a blog on young entrepreneurs in Haiti and the many considerable obstacles they face, but it's a really inspiring read because, nevertheless, these amazing young people are pushing forward and developing businesses, and it's really an inspiring read. Anyway, so we heard that the blog has been widely shared in Haiti and very welcomed by the young entrepreneurs that are covered in the blog and the people that they work with and their communities. So it's really great to hear that because, at the heart of what Iguacu is all about is empowering the public to effectively help with the relief of suffering in the world. And part of the solution with a lot of these different crises, it's something that's very important and at the heart of the vision of Iguacu is talking about what if in Haiti? What is the future, the positive future for the countries we cover? What are the different voices on the ground talking about? What are their hopes and aspirations? What are the different developments that really are important to talk about and to support and to give airtime to and to understand and to identify ways in which the public worldwide can get behind them and can support them? And there'll be more about that coming from Iguacu down the line. So, right, first up from the research desk, I believe we have Nathanael Shiraki, who's currently in Colombia. Now, let me just see if I can join him into the conversation. He'll firstly be talking about, no, he's not actually showing us being able to join the conversation. So I'll let Nat have a look at that and I will invite another researcher. Oh, here we go. I'll try this again. Here we are. This is working. Got an update for us on the Syria situation.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Do you mind starting off this week with an update on Syria?
Yes, definitely. So the situation in the besieged area of Eastern Ghouta near Damascus keeps deteriorating with a ground attack splitting the enclave in 3 parts. The humanitarian convoy I was telling you about last week that got stripped of medical supplies did eventually reach the enclave, but had to leave before distributing all the aid due to shelling. It came itself under bombardments. Several people have died in the enclave this week, again because of lack of food. So this is now a routine news that we get from this part of Syria. On top of the air assault and the ground attack, there is increasing reports and matching reports of the use of internationally prohibited chemical weapons, including napalm, including phosphorus, including chlorine gas. In the enclave, there were 27 patients that were received in our recommended charities, SAM's supported facilities for treatment after being exposed to what seemed to be chlorine gas, including 14 children.
Okay, and that was a report from our charity, SAM's, was it?
That's a report from our charity, Syrian American Medical Society, SAMS, who are on the ground. They're operating medical facilities there, and they have their own doctors that are working tirelessly. Many of them can't even leave their hospitals, so SAMS is delivering food to them directly. Many of them are very poorly paid. And one of my experts was telling me a week or two ago that many of them could have left the besieged area long ago, but they didn't, and many are still saying today, we will not abandon our patients. So yes, but the reports of the internationally prohibited chemical weapons is not only from our recommended charity, it's all over the news, and many international news agencies have reported it.
And actually, the Iguacu research team are very well aware of the best quality news sources because of their work, and we'll be posting on Facebook soon. I've asked them to identify what they think are the best sources for world news to share with our audience. So that'll be a post, I think, coming up on Sunday. Nat, before you go, given that you're in Colombia, and the recent peace process in Colombia, and you've been traveling around a little bit, I wonder if you had any thoughts to share about your reflections being in the country.
Well, I had nothing in particular. It's just to say that it's been a 52 years long conflict, and that the peace agreement was officially ratified in 2016 only. But you can already see here in the streets and in the economy the positive impact of the progressive end of this crisis. So the tourism has gone up. The international image of Colombia, which used to be affected by this conflict, is improving markedly. Some areas of the country are newly accessible, and there were elections actually for the Senate this weekend, and I wanted to share with you a little picture. Let me see, something I've seen in the street of Bogota. Yeah, here, I don't know if you can see, it's a poster. Let me try to hold it. It's a poster that says...
See it really well, that's great. So that's an electoral poster for FARC?
For FARC. So FARC is the name of this guerrilla group with whom the the peace accord was signed, and it's a sign of times changing, that you can see an actual electoral poster for the FARC, which no longer means the same thing, but says the force for reconciliation, peace, and hope, force of the common.
Wonderful.
So,
wonderful. I mean, there's obviously lots of challenges in Colombia, but that's really fantastic news.
There is a huge number of challenges, of course, huge number, not all related with the peace agreement, but yeah, definitely. But yeah, I just thought I'd share this this good news.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks, Catherine.
Until next week, Nat.
Bye for now.
Bye for now. Great. So next up from our research team is Blondine Sidinier. So let me see if I can bring Blondine into the conversation. And Blondine's going to speak with us about South Sudan. And I believe she is almost with us. And I'll just double check here. That's correct. Yep. Hello, Blondine.
Hi, Catherine.
How are you?
Good, and you?
Very well, thank you. You're going to kick off today, I think, with the report or update on South Sudan. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. So last week, 2 reports were published and showed how oil money has been financing the conflict in South Sudan. Oil is the main source of revenue for the state, amounting to around 97% of its GDP. The 2 reports found that the national oil company has been captured by elites and security forces, and that oil money has funded militias accused of gross human rights violations in the country. The 5-year conflict has killed thousands and caused large-scale suffering. As mentioned last week, in May, 7 million people will face starvation. In addition, the US is pushing for the UN to adopt an arms embargo. The vote is due this week. However, Russia and China are likely to oppose it, and I will keep you updated on that issue.
Thank you, Blondine. Thank you. And on the Central African Republic, do you have some news?
Gabon announced last week that it will withdraw its forces from the UN peacekeeping mission in the Central African Republic. This decision comes after that the UN voted last November for the mission to be reinforced with a further 900 soldiers. Officially, Gabon is citing improvements in the security situation. However, 80% of the territory remains controlled by armed groups.
So tell me, how many troops is that Gabon contributes?
444.
Do we know what proportion that is of the entire peacekeeping force?
Yes, the entire force is comprised of almost 13,000 troops at the moment.
Okay. Given that they're wanting to increase that number, it's an unfortunate sign that Gabon wants to withdraw.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that update, Blondine. Until next week.
Thank you, Catherine. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye for now.
Thanks.
So next we have with us Adib Chowdhury, I believe, Iguacu's disaster research and response specialist, who's going to give us a quick update on his world. And I believe he's standing by to join us. And there we are. Hello, Adib.
Hi, Catherine. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Do you have an update for us this week?
Yes, I do. This week I've got an update from Papua New Guinea. It goes back to the 26th of February, where there was a huge earthquake that struck the island nation, and it measured 7.5 on the Richter scale. What happened was, the following few days after the earthquake, there were heavy mudslides which occurred, and the remote locations which were worst affected by the earthquake have been most affected by the mudslides, because they've completely blocked any access to these locations, and aid agencies have really been struggling to get to the areas and to the people who most need attention right now. And currently the estimates are over 100 dead, and I mean, unfortunately the figure has been rising over the past couple of days, and there's actually a lot of anger within Papua New Guinea with the government itself. A lot of people are saying that the response has been slow and that it's not enough. As well as that, there's also been a lot of anger and frustration at the international community and what they perceive as a lack of awareness in the media about the earthquake that occurred. And right now, Care International have come up with a figure. They've said that there is, in fact, over 150,000 people who are in dire need of emergency aid.
And are these people in the area that's difficult to access?
Yeah, they're in the area that's difficult to access. And what's been happening is that a lot of people have been walking down to the other main cities. They've been walking for days to get to these places, because some of the aid agencies have said, okay, well, the next best thing we can do is just set up camp in, a nearby village. But by nearby, I mean, it's a few miles away, and these locations are so hilly. It's taken them days to come down. And that's why the figure has just been rising over the past couple of days. I mean, it's been a while now, and the figure has just been growing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adib, for that update. And no doubt you'll have more to share next week, and hopefully there's been some progress on the humanitarian response.
Yes, let's hope so. Thank you, Catherine.
Thanks, Adib. Until next week.
See you next week.
So let me just check with you on questions. And I'll just see if I can see if you have shared us any questions here, because your questions, of course, are always very, very welcome, because, we create these updates entirely to help make it more straightforward and easy to find out what's going on in the world where there's serious need. And we'd love to know what your questions are to shape what we share according to what you're most interested in. So don't hesitate to post a question during the week on our Facebook page. We'd be very happy to either answer it there and then, or on our next broadcast. So that's it for this week. Thank you very much for joining us and have a great week. Bye for now.